Good morning, everyone. I've got 11 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our special live briefing here on Tuesday, August 11th for the potential threat for severe weather in our area. All right, so I wanted to start off showing kind of what I did yesterday, just showing what's going on now. So as you can see, we do have some light rain entering probably the northwestern parts of our area with basically two different areas of convection or thunderstorms here near the Chicago area, and then again across Ohio. So similar to yesterday, one of these two is likely going to be the focal point of our severe weather threat. So the main question here is going to be with this first round of storms in this area. So I want to go over to visible. So yesterday we didn't have too much cloud cover, and any cloud cover in the morning cleared out pretty well. So our atmosphere was able to kind of recharge. Today there is going to be a little bit more cloud cover, so we won't have quite as high as temperatures as we did yesterday. So it might take a little bit longer for our atmosphere to recharge and get that basically the juice that the storms need. So right now we're thinking that the threat will likely be later. However, there still remains a lot of uncertainty, as similar to yesterday, with regards to the timing, the intensity, and the coverage of the severe weather. So I'm going to get started with our actual briefing. All right, so the main thing that we're going to basically be talking about today is going to be the slight severe risk, so level 2 of 5 on the severe SPC's scale. So this is going to be the highest in the far western portions of the area, so our Piedmont area, and then there is a marginal severe risk everywhere else. The primary threat is going to be damaging wind gusts. And as I mentioned, there continues to be a decent amount of uncertainty in the storm coverage, and we are thinking, as opposed to yesterday, it will likely be this evening and tonight rather than in the afternoon. So just kind of stay weather aware, just because overnight stuff is a little bit more tricky, just because you do lose the daytime heating, so it can have an impact on the intensity. So once again, why there's a lot of uncertainty. There is additional severe weather possible on Wednesday, though we'll go into exactly the location. So it might be confined to the southwest portion of the area and portions of northeast North Carolina. I will briefly touch on the heat today. So it's going to be pretty hot and humid despite the cloud cover. A heat advisory is in effect for a few areas in northeastern North Carolina, but thank you to the cloud cover and the slightly decreased dew points, we are not going to reach that 105 criteria everywhere else. However, we will see highs in the upper 80s to low 90s and heat indices climbing to around 100 degrees. And for marine weather, we're expecting pretty benign conditions through today and the rest of the week. Alrighty, so touching on the weather pattern for the next few days, it's going to be pretty similar. You've got northwest flow aloft, which is very good for us for severe weather. You do have a cold front that's slowly sagging towards our area. That will help kind of be more of a focal point for severe weather or convective development. So that will continually bring us at least isolated to scattered afternoon and evening showers. I'm just doing a quick look at the severe weather outlook. So for today, as mentioned, we do have that slight risk in the western portions of our area, mainly the Piedmont, and then the marginal risk everywhere else. And then tomorrow, we do have the isolated strong to severe threat down in the southwest portions of the area for the afternoon, and the rest of the area is in a general thunder. Looking at Thursday, at this time, we are not expecting any severe weather. However, we could see some thunderstorms. All right, so diving a little bit deeper into today's severe threat, isolated scattered storms are possible later this afternoon to tonight. There is a pretty broad range on the most likely timing. As mentioned, there's just lower confidence because we did have those two different separate thunderstorm complexes that we looked at the beginning of this. So one of the two will likely be the main focal point. So we're just kind of seeing, okay, which one is it? So we gave a broader range for the most likely timing, so 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. These storms will be moving pretty fast. So to about 35 to 45 miles per hour. The main threat, again, will be the 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. Small hail is possible, but we're not expecting any type of severe hail, such as 1-inch hail or greater. And localized flooding is possible today. However, with these storms, the main threat will be any areas that are repeatedly hit or any storms that backfill just because of the fast motion of the storm. So we're mostly thinking about the urban areas for that. And for confidence, it's very, very low. All of the guidance that we typically use has been really struggling to capture the events, especially like yesterday. Not much of them were showing anything coming through the area, and most people know exactly what happened yesterday. And almost all of our area saw severe winds. So, all right, and going to tomorrow, pretty similar. The storms are moving pretty fast, but the coverage is expected to be a little bit less and confined to the southwest portions of the area. So low confidence in this one as well, just similar to the pattern. It really depends on what those morning thunderstorm complexes do to our northwest and where they end up and how the environment shapes up. Especially if it's going to be a later event tonight. It will take longer for our atmosphere to do its recharging. So there's a lot lower confidence in tomorrow's severe potential. As far as the excessive rainfall outlook, I did mention that there is a chance mostly for the cities and the more urban areas and the areas prone more to flooding. So we do have a marginal risk. There is a little bit of a slight risk. So the yellow clipping like the Louisiana area and the northwestern Piedmont area right here. However, these storms will be moving really fast, so the flooding threat should remain low for most of the area. And as far as rainfall totals and timing, so the right hand graph shows you the rough estimate of the timing. But looking at the image, this is more of a broad brush look at what we're expecting. So areas that do get hit by any type of thunderstorm will likely receive more than this. They will have heavier downpours, so localized heavy rainfall is possible with any storm. But we are expecting most of the area to see at least a little bit of rainfall today. Similar for tomorrow, we are expecting rainfall in most areas. However, pinpointing the exact location of any storms is pretty tricky. So we don't have those bullseyes because they're very hard to pinpoint in summertime scattered convection like this. So again, localized heavy rainfall is possible with any storm. And lastly, maybe a little bit drier, however, on Thursday, but with any convection, going to have the possibility of localized heavier rainfall. All right, so any type of accumulating precip, just gonna kind of repeat what I said is, this is the more broad brush look that we're looking at, more of a 20,000 foot view. So you're going to have your isolated scattered afternoon and evening and potentially overnight showers and thunderstorms. And there's a chance every day through Friday. So we are expecting most of the area to get rain. However, some areas will see greater localized totals. And as mentioned, I'm going to briefly touch on the heat advisory and the heat today. So this is the areas, the ones shaded in orange, that do have the heat advisory in effect. So this just means that heat indices are of 105 to 108 are forecast. So make sure anyone in this area does take precautions if you're outdoors. And looking at the heat threat for the next few days, today we'll have probably the widest threat for heat threat. Should likely go down for Wednesday. Might be a little bit more widespread on Thursday. It's definitely tricky in this pattern, especially with the convection and the possible cloud cover in the morning to nail down, is there going to be more cloudy? What are the dew points going to do? So just expect a limited to elevated heat threat in the next few days. And for the highs and the max heat index for the next few days, we'll likely see lower 90s with a few scattered instances of mid 90s. And for the heat index, we'll have mid to upper 90s for most of the area. And then once you get a little bit farther southeast, you'll see 100 to down in the northeast North Carolina portions up to 105 plus. And for tomorrow, a little bit cooler relative to today. So not expecting quite as hot and humid. So not expecting any type of heat headlines for tomorrow or for Thursday at this time. And this is just a quick look to see, where your hottest days are and your highest heat indices. Just a brief look. They're not going to be too much in terms of relief overnight, just because you're still going to have highs or lows in the mid to upper 70s. As far as rip currents go, I'm not expecting any rip currents. So low. Skip over this, but as far as tropics go, none of these are going to be a threat to the local area at this time. For the first system, that's the one that just came off Africa. It's got a lot of time to make up its mind on what it wants to do, but the consensus is that it basically turns back out to sea. So we're not expecting any type of threats to the area at this time. All right, and please let me know if anyone has any questions.